Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, or night. If you're a late night podcast listener, maybe right before bed, who knows? But welcome to the Table Scraps podcast.
On today's episode, Bobby and I are talking about some of the original content we're looking at making this year, next year, 5 years, 10 years. So we want to hear from you guys if you like our ideas or if you think that they're garbage. I hope they're not garbage. But the WNBA salary is only $70,000.
Wow.
But I bet it goes up. I mean, they're making some waves.
What was that comparison, though?
Oh, the entry-level contract for the first pick of the NBA versus WNBA. She got $400,000 over, or $300,000 over 4 years. And the dude, I don't even know who he is, got $55 million over 3 years.
That's so brutal.
Yeah.
At least there's the endorsements. Okay, everything's rolling. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll use some of this pre-start banter in the edit. We'll see. Anything is manipulatable. I could chop this up. I could put that in at the end if I want. I can do whatever I want.
Wow.
It's crazy.
You're the editor, the chief editor.
Yeah, I'm the chief editor and producer and audio technician for this podcast.
Brought to you by...
I wear many hats. Me, also me. All right. It's been a while since we've just done one by ourselves.
I know.
How do we even start?
I could start with a nice fun fact for you.
Okay.
I learned something new this week. Life insurance is not for us.
Well, it's very much for us, but also you're going to pay for it.
Oh my God. So I got a quote for life insurance for $1 million policy, and their standard price or whatever was $600 for the year for a 25-year plan. And after putting in my occupation, no health, nothing, which I'm pretty healthy, so it wouldn't have gone up for that, $3,000 a year versus $600 a year. So over the 25-year policy, life of the 25 years, it would have been an $80,000 plan.
So how are you going to break it to Katie that you don't have life insurance?
I mean, we immediately got on the phone with our financial advisor, and he's like, yeah, we can't. That ain't going to happen. Let's try something else.
Well, whatever that secondary solution is that you figure out, let me know.
Yeah,
because
right.
I'm out on the first one. But
God.
That being said, it makes sense. We need it the worst, the most.
I know.
And so it's going to be the most expensive, obviously.
But that much more, of 4 times as much. We're 4 times more likely to die than the person that's working than our old jobs.
Really puts things into perspective for you. Kind of makes you reconsider everything that's going on.
I know.
At least for a brief moment. And then it's well, I'm not going to not do it. So.
No, it's great. I love doing it.
Yeah.
But it's not even just the helicopter stuff. It's just being on boats that go a certain speed.
Mm-hmm. It's everything.
It's the whole thing.
It's just a relatively dangerous job compared to what we were doing before.
Yeah. Sorry for having a fun career.
Yeah, it comes with its costs, that's for sure. Give me enough money where Madison can bury me and not have to pay for it, Actually, I don't even want to be buried, cremated. Let her cremate me for $0. Yeah. And then I think that's probably pretty good. And then she can just sell the house and
Is cremation free? I'd be shocked.
No.
For $0.
I mean, it is if you do it in your backyard.
Oh, that's so messed up.
I mean, we got that big burn pile that's collecting a lot of sticks lately. You can just toss me right on top of that.
No.
Put the little coins on my eyes back in the day.
You're going to get buried.
No, I'm not.
I got a lifetime ahead of me to convince you to get buried.
No, burn me to a crisp for $3,000 or whatever it costs. Put me in a coffee tin.
So how was your week, Bob?
It was pretty good. It was a long one, I would say. I mean, I think what it is that the last 2 weeks have been short weeks for me. Coming back from Mexico last week, it was a 3-day week. Leaving from Mexico the week before that, it was a 3-day week. So this was my first full week in a while. It was good. It was productive. Got a lot done. It's just I'm feeling it today.
Yeah.
On Friday. I'm happy to be doing this and then editing this and then hopefully, coasting into the weekend, get some stuff done around the house. But yeah, overall, good week. Did some shooting, been editing a video that we're going to try to use for essentially marketing for boat walkthroughs.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk a little bit more about that as far as original content coming out from us. But the idea is just that if somebody wants or is thinking about using us, has seen one of our videos before, this is a good example of here's what you can expect when working with us. So that should be wrapped up either today or like maybe first thing Monday.
Nice.
How about you?
Yeah, this week seemed to be a lot of planning. We've got the first Supercat race next week, heading down to Florida for that, me and you. So getting the logistics lined up for that. Like you said, we did a little shoot for Sensation. Kind of a big shoot for Sensation.
Yeah, a little 5-hour shoot.
Yeah, other than that, heading up north this weekend, do a little filming in my free time, the normal normal stuff.
Yeah, leave work at home.
Yeah,
go drive an hour and a half, take everything with you, more shooting, more editing.
I don't have any of that leave work at home mindset because I don't really think of any of this as work. It's just like, if I wasn't getting paid, this is what I'd be doing. So I just do it all the time as much as Katie lets me. Yeah,
that's true. You would be doing it probably 100 hours a week.
Yeah, I know.
I can't even imagine if you were single doing this. You just wouldn't stop.
Oh, my God.
You'd have no balance.
I'd have no friends.
No, you'd just be here in the editing room.
Yeah.
Nonstop, only leaving to shoot more footage to bring back to the editing room. But you got to respect it. That's
whatever.
That's doing what you love for work.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot, but I am slowly getting there. I think the learning curve is a lot, so it's putting in a lot of like actual work of just trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and then eventually it'll turn into more of being able to take things that I'm passionate about and then making that work.
I mean, that kind of ties into what we're talking about today, right? It's Scrapyard original content. Like, how do we balance that versus the projects that we're getting paid for? What do we want to create? Like, what do you like talking about? Getting better at being on camera for us, building out our YouTube channel, all of those things. So we're going to go through some of our ideas, some of our potential series for the year.
It's even talking about it upstairs before coming down here to do this, just getting those ideas churning. Mm-hmm. To your point, it's a bit of a balance because we have to put projects that are paid.
Got to pay the bills.
Yeah, you got to put those up front. That's work. Like we need to do that. And then it's like, okay, how much of this stuff are we going to do that's more passion projects that are then going to lead to potential monetary value down the road after we put in enough work? For example, on a YouTube channel, if you gain a following and you're getting monetization through that, then you have that freedom to create what you want as long as you have a following that's interested in what you're doing. But you can't get to that point without trying a few things first. And those are kind of,
I feel like we got to try the stuff first, because if we gained a following based on creating something that was going to get traction and we didn't like making it, we'd never sustain. We would be digging our own graves by doing that. So we're taking the approach, we're going to make stuff that we like to make, even if it doesn't have like some great appeal. Because then we can consistently make it, get better at it, and maybe tweak it a little bit to like get the following.
We're not going to know right away whether or not it's got a following.
No. It's like this podcast, right? Yeah. We got like 30, 50 views, but this is sustainable. We could do this every week for as long as we want, and we'll just get better at it.
That was the intent, was just to figure this out, not only for ourselves, but for other people too. So as far as I'm concerned, this is going well. Not looking at view count, just looking at comfortability for us, looking at streamlining the process of being able to produce it and edit it and all of that. It's definitely working.
And we're getting people that are reaching out. Right, like I had the guy that does all the content creation for MTI. He just sent me a nice message the other day. Hey, just found your podcast. Like, love the one with Matt Ledden on there. And then I'm talking to him about whatever he's doing and stuff. I'm like, hey, why don't you come on? Like, we'll be down at Lake of the Ozarks this summer. We'll bring our gear, have you on, talk about your projects. Like those moments, those conversations are the indicators of success in my mind. Not 10,000 views on the podcast.
Sometimes
it's just hitting the right people now.
Getting that positive feedback from the right people in the industry, or people that do what we do. So, there's an additional level of respect, maybe something they've thought about doing before, but they're like, oh, I wonder how much work goes into that. There's quite a bit of work that goes into it.
Oh yeah.
But with podcasts so readily available, I would say the average listener just listens and is like, oh, that sounds like shit, or that doesn't. Well, the difference between those two is a lot of work, a lot of research. And I'm still looking at this like there's so much room for growth. I'm going to keep getting better at this and making it sound better and making it easier to produce. And hopefully at some point, we're producing 4 or 5 podcasts for people and just churning them out.
And it's nice to have equipment that you can grow into, where you don't understand everything right off the bat, and you kind of learn as you go. And, I found this new thing that this does, kind of like not updating the firmware on our FX3s for like 4 years.
That I feel like was on such a whim. I mean, there was we have big projects coming up. So we've been talking about dialing in the gear, getting the gear cleaned. One of those things that came up was like, maybe we should check into the firmware. Maybe we're not quite up to date. And it was
maybe this will take 30 minutes.
Yeah, it took like 3 hours. We had to go to an interim upgrade just to get to the current upgrade. One of the cameras was on version 1.0, and it went up to 5.0 now. Yep. And who knows how many iterations there were in between that. Some things were obvious that came with the update. I think a lot of it, though, is going to be things that we're going to learn and grow into, where it's like, we didn't have this capability before, and now we're realizing, this is making our footage look a lot better, or it's making it a lot easier to edit, whatever it is. But growing into that gear, that's a perfect example of those cameras. I mean, you knew buying the FX3s, they're cinema grade, they're full frame. Like, you have certain parameters in mind, you have done certain research online, but like I've told you, and holding that camera and shooting with it, for me, I knew very little. And, no offense to all the research that you did, but I know that we both have a lot to learn about those things.
Yeah, I don't think it ever stops. When you get into the picture profiles and you're looking at gamma and like black level and all this stuff, that I have no idea what that means, right? We're picking a preset. Granted, it's not like you're just throwing a LUT on there, right? We're picking a preset to then put our touch on things later, but there's so many levels and so much deeper that you can just keep going. At what value are you getting out of learning that stuff? We're publishing YouTube videos that are somewhat compressed, It doesn't really matter, but for the level that we want to go to, it'll matter then. And having the knowledge will give us more credibility to have crucial conversations with people that do know all this stuff, so that we just don't look like idiots walking in a room like, I bought this camera, like, look at my camera,
Yeah.
We actually know it.
And I look forward to also gaining this understanding, or a further understanding of these cameras, and then being able to utilize that understanding to like create a creative taste in whatever the picture profile is. For example, like, we've been shooting on the same picture profile for the last year, and
since I got those cameras,
so
that S Cinetone.
So most of it was done in post, like any of these tweakings that we were going to do. But then as soon as we opened that door to like, let's just try a different one and let's see how that works out, we can just be experimenting like that all the time. And then maybe not only are we going to tell a specific story a certain way by organizing the video a certain way, we're going to shoot it in a certain picture profile, and that's going to add a completely different flavor to a video. So we're just going to have more and more tools in our arsenal to then apply to a specific video when we're in pre-production. And
some of these things that we want to create, like our original content, that's the perfect testing ground for that kind of stuff. So like this one, I threw this out to the internet, I think last week or the week before, that I would really like to see a documentary made on the boat building in our area. We have a pretty rich history in Algonac of Chris Craft, Garwood, Maya Boatworks, and then Sensation is kind of carrying the torch here. But no video, no documentary has ever been made. There's some books, there's some museums, but I got a lot of people that reached out and said like, you could start here or talk to this person, that person. And I don't know how you get something like that funded, but that's something that I would like to see us make just on our own, where we could use a very distinct look, a very distinct picture profile in order to carry that whole story through. Maybe make it feel more historic in the way that you're shooting it. I'm totally in on that idea. And like we were talking to Jeff about last week too, going back even further than that to understand why boating became so popular in this area to begin with. Yeah. Beyond the brands doing it to the best capability and then turning that into a business, people building their own boats, to run booze back and forth the
from
prohibition.
Canada. Like there's there's so much history there. I think getting that funded, I mean, not that it'd be easy, but just talking to the local community and people that, like us, I mean, we've been here for 30 plus years. Our parents were here even longer than that. So people that enjoy living in this area, that care about this area, that find themselves interested in the history, you know, like that's like right across the street from where we live used to be a railroad track. And you can go over there and you can still find old tracks, or you can find old railroad pens and stuff like that. I think to a random person, that might be boring. They're like, whatever, old railroad track, who cares? But if you tell the story right and you dive a little bit more into the history of why that's interesting, then there's so many people that would, I mean, how many people turn on like the Discovery Channel and then a random historical documentary comes on and you find yourself kind of just paying attention to it. It's all about, how was that story told? Why should it be interesting? So going back as far as some random guy built something that floated to bring over moonshine or something like that, whatever it was, starting there.
There's so many good things that could come out of that.
Yeah.
And then maybe that documentary leads to like, hey, we're going to create some original documentaries. This is the first one. We took a crack at it. Like, what's next? I kind of see that being like one of those buckets that we fill for Scrapyard original content.
Definitely. I think out of everything that we do, the most interesting thing to me is the idea of becoming like a documentary filmmaker.
Yeah.
Going a little bit longer in length, maybe doing a series.
Yeah.
Being able to be told a story and thinking, I find that interesting. How am I going to dig into that a little bit deeper and then make a movie out of it or a video out of it? I love talking to people and hearing new stories. And so like having that capability, which goes back to like having a style and understanding the camera, having a vision for something, you hear it. Okay, I think I could tell that story effectively through video, and then being able to do that. Like that it's a very exciting idea.
I think that's like the most produced, longest form, like ultimate project that we would do for original content. But then like underneath that, there's so much we could do on like a monthly or weekly basis.
Yeah.
I mean, I jotted down some ideas, but did you have anything on top of mind for you? Like what's something that you would like to create on a consistent basis? Could be like a series of reels to a series of YouTube videos. I don't know. What are you thinking?
We talked about, like, as far as the subject goes, this past year I picked up film photography just in this massive swing of me trying to learn all things videography and photography.
Yeah.
That's something that I've always been interested in, or I like the style of, or my friends were doing. If I could figure out a way to like showcase me learning from basically knowing nothing to however far I take it, not only is that a good way for me to learn a new skill and learn a new style, and I mean, not only film photography, but shooting in film. Like there's just all of these old technologies we can use that I find very attractive, like the way that they look. We can implement that into videos, no problem. You know, you can take that type of stuff and digitize it, but creating some sort of like short form video series that is like, okay, here's day one or week one or month one or whatever, how often you want to make them. I know nothing about this. So not only am I forcing myself or giving myself a good platform to learn a skill, but maybe that's interesting to somebody. They could watch me learn. They could learn with me. I mean, look at all these guys. Like I look at some of these YouTubers that you've showed me, like Peter McKinnon. You know, it's where he started. He didn't have a huge following like he does now. He picked up a camera and was like, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
And then just started to learn, and a community started to learn with him. Whether or not the community is there, I look forward to the idea of me just learning anyway, and then maybe getting better at producing these short form videos and showcasing things that we know, and then uploading that to YouTube, and that becomes, you know, like a line item of a video series that we have outside of some of the stuff that we do now.
You know, as we come up with these ideas throughout this podcast and this last one that you just mentioned, like I would love to hear from the people that are listening to this. If you like these ideas or if you have ideas of your own, like let us know. We're a pretty open book when it comes to creating this original content. We're at the very beginning of our careers doing this. Maybe there's something that we're just overlooking, or maybe you really like one of these ideas. Would love to hear. One of the ones that is pretty similar to you with this film journey is me with the journey of taking pictures and video of wildlife. I just do it because we live in the woods, and I've really come to like it, and I've started to put some effort into it. For example, this weekend, I'm going up north for a turkey hunt. I don't hunt, but I'm definitely going to shoot these turkeys, just not with a gun. But the idea is like, okay, let's go up there. Let's document a little bit of like what it's like to go on a turkey hunt. Make maybe a little 2-3 minute like cinematic video on this. Or maybe it's like a vlog style video of me going up trying to get like a cool shot of a turkey. I don't really know where it's going to land, but maybe some sort of a consistent series on just wildlife photography, because it's such a popular thing and I'm really enjoying doing it just to do it. That was one that I thought maybe could like live a long time and grow.
Yeah.
Like as I get better at it and maybe cultivate an audience for it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're not going to be able to try new things unless you're putting yourself in that situation like that. Like, might as well go up north, drive an hour and a half, go out into the woods, whatever you got to do. Don't get shot, wear orange, but find a cool spot and just see what happens. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a lot of, and this is my opinion without having much experience in it, but a lot of wildlife photography, I imagine, is, people going out there and kind of just waiting and being patient and figuring out what looks good. Yeah, you're kind of waiting for that opportunity to present itself. And then the more you do it, the better you get at understanding when those opportunities are going to happen. Yeah, I would watch that.
You ever watch those like National Geographic videos that are on Netflix? Mm-hmm. Maybe not even Nat Geo, but like the Planet Earth or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's some behind the scenes to those. And I mean, like, for example, this one guy got a shot of a like snow leopard in Russia, and he waited for like years. He was like, I go out here as much as I can. Like, I got my spot. I baited him in. Like, and then they use the 30-second clip max for this video, and he's been waiting years to get this shot. Like, the payoff seems so pointless. Like, you're putting in so much work for like a chance of getting something.
But just imagine.
I know. That's the thrill of it.
When you finally get it after all those years. I feel like that exists out here for you, but you don't know what it is yet. You're getting good at shooting ducks and shooting whatever birds flying around or wildlife that's crawling around. And you've taken some really good pictures. Those foxes were crazy. But
yeah, the foxes were wild.
I think whatever it is that you're waiting for, like you're not there yet. And when you find it, you'll know. And maybe it's going to be 20 years from now when you're still living on this property and you're like, this is what I've been doing.
Well, I'm thinking like, okay, what does Michigan wildlife have? And what am I not seeing, right? And I was telling Katie the other day, I'm like, I would love to get a picture of an owl, but I've never really seen them. One time we had like some baby owl that was confused and was out during the day, like, but that's it. Mm-hmm. I know they're out here because I hear them. How do you get that picture at night? Like, where are they at? I don't know. That seems like a really challenging thing to try to do.
That would be something I would watch you try to do.
Yeah.
From start to finish. I mean, who knows how long it'll take you, but if you have this idea of this is what I want, figure out how people would normally do that, start doing that around here and documenting it, and then maybe by the end of it, it's a 5 to 10 minute video when you finally get that shot.
Or it's just like a series of like, fail.
Yeah.
Well, he never got it.
After the 10th fail video, I'm like, I don't think this is going to happen.
I'm done.
Yeah. But no, I think that would be cool.
Well, that's cool that you would like that. If anybody else would like to see me try to get a picture of an owl, let me know. Like that one right now for me is like at the forefront of my mind, especially going up north this weekend for this turkey hunt.
Yeah, I think you've gotten better over the last year from what I've seen, watching you take these pictures, maybe like steering into more intentional territory of like, I'm going to camp out and I'm going to get this specific picture that I've been wanting for a long time, like a picture of an owl versus looking out the back door and saying like, oh shit, there's a raccoon out there, or there's a
that was
duck.
A sweet raccoon picture.
I know. And so like you're yielding good pictures from that. So
it's just too easy, right? There's no story because I'm not putting in any work. I'm just walking out the door.
So if we can get to the point where, I mean, you're always going to be doing that. You live in the woods. It's like you said, relatively easy, but then how can we make that into a story that's entertaining? Well,
should I just fake it?
Let's go for an impossible shot.
Be like, oh yeah, I was out in the woods for 5 nights, but really I just like opened my window and took a picture.
Well, you can't now. Like, people are gonna know. Hopefully they don't think that it is actually fake. You're gonna have to tell a compelling story.
What else we got? Obviously the podcast, right? That's a big thing that we've been doing that consistently that lives on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I look at all of this podcasting, but like more specifically audio engineering, I guess. I don't know how you make that super attractive, but I know that a lot of people are doing this a lot of people are trying to start podcasts. A lot of people are sitting in their rooms messing around with GarageBand on their MacBook like I do from time to time with very little understanding. It's kind of nice. You can dive into something like this, and there are so many tools that are out now that are easy to use that there's not a whole lot standing in between you and trying to be creative. But I also know that there's a difference between jumping into this and, messing around with it from time to time to like trying to actually become a subject matter expert on it. Or not even an expert, but just know more than the average human being about stuff.
Well, and something you were saying was like growing and learning and teaching at the same time just helps you to learn it better. Mm-hmm. So like anybody that you watch on YouTube is not like the ultimate expert on whatever it is they're talking about, but they're probably learning and they're just getting their, and then they figure it out better for themselves. So it could be something that you just start to make little videos on, like, oh, I got this Rodecaster, like here's the basics of it.
Yeah, like imagining setting up a list of things for myself that I want to learn. And then as I'm learning these things, setting up a camera and talking to nobody, essentially myself, which I would be doing anyway, but just internally, and going through the process of trial and error or doing some research or whatever it is. And maybe it's more engaging of a format, but again, it's just really, it's going to be a lot better for me to learn. I'll learn faster. It's like making a process document for this when I started. And making it so that you could maybe open that process document and be able to do everything that I've done. That just instills it in my brain.
I can tell you I'd way rather watch a video than read a process document.
Yeah, we do it all the time.
Well, the majority of the content I take in is what you're talking about.
Yeah, like this thing on YouTube.
Yeah, and not even like when I'm trying to figure it out. Like, that's just what I watch.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we talked about with catering to a specific audience. Like, I think we're looking at it as what would we watch personally? Who is our audience? Us. But
that's what sustains it over time. That's what keeps you being able to make it and not getting burnt out, is because you're making something that you actually like.
What else do you got? Any other video series or any other big project ideas that we could maybe...
I mean, nothing like brand new, but you've been working on a behind the scenes video for a walkthrough. Well, I think you mentioned it earlier in the pod. Yeah. But like that's something, right? Behind the scenes on some of these bigger projects that we do. And then the other series would be like just the adventures that Katie and I get to go on. We've done a couple videos where we were with Mike and Sarah on the Kraken. And those are our most viewed YouTube videos. No surprise. I mean, their audience probably trickled over and watched some of it.
Sure.
But I mean, that's something that I don't see stopping ever. Her and I, our number one form of like activity is going and doing things, like going on adventures, going to new places, traveling. So if we're just documenting some of that along the way, like that's sustainable.
I feel like we field a lot of questions about what we do, how we do it, how do we get there, what's it like. Just being able to present that in a video would, I think, have a lot of questions answered. And it also, like, for me, when I watch those, it kind of showcases like what we do. And I enjoy watching that even myself, just because it's not that it's hard to explain, but sometimes it can be. Like, I don't want to just brag about how much I like my job. I'd rather be able to be like, hey, here's a video about what I do. And you can watch it, you can formulate your own opinion. I'm not going to sell you on it. I like it too much to try and do that. But if you have any interest in it, or for people that have interest in getting into it, maybe we're, a path they could follow to potentially get into the job.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know my family likes watching it. They've all kind of said, oh, we like following you guys around and watching these adventures. So I guess that's where it starts, family and friends. And then you get an audience like How to Live that comes over, and maybe a few of them stick. And then maybe we make a video with somebody else and their audience, a few of them come over and stick. Meanwhile, we're getting better at making these videos. We're getting more comfortable talking to camera. So, I mean, you do this for 10 years and who knows where it's going to go. I think the consistency thing is like the most important. And we're at the phase right now where we're just picking these buckets that we're going to invest so much time in over years and years. It's like, let's make sure that we pick buckets that are sustainable, that we enjoy, and have potential to grow.
Yeah, start with what we like. what we want to make.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
if that sticks, then beautiful. Two birds, one stone. We're having fun doing it. We're investing in our own passions, and then at the same time, it's helping the company too.
Yeah. So again, let us know. Let us know if you guys have ideas for us, if you hate our ideas that we just threw out, or if you like them. I mean, we're at the beginning of this, so we want to make sure that the small audience that we do have right now is invested in enjoying what we're putting out.
Yeah, definitely. I very much enjoy learning new things. So if film photography doesn't interest you, or audio engineering or podcasting, if you have even the most random thing, I would consider learning and maybe documenting that, because like I said, I'm always open to learn new things, and if you would find it entertaining, then I'll make that for you. Well, I'm not gonna just open that door completely wide.
We don't want to ask Paul what he wants us to make.
Yeah, there's certain people that maybe I don't want that opinion from, but for most of you, all 55 of you, if you're thinking about something specific, let us know. I'd be down.
Cool. Well, you got anything else for the pod?
I don't think so. What are you doing this weekend?
Well, I'm going to do that turkey hunt thing.
Oh, yeah.
But
One day.
Probably going to come back. Yeah, probably going to come back early and get some more yard work done. It's been a bear, but it's spring around here, so
I know.
a lot of work
Shit
to do.
is happening.
Living in the woods, you know.
Grass is growing.
Yeah.
Well, my grass is growing.
God, your grass looks so good. And then I'm like, how? You can't be doing that much to it.
I'm not doing anything to it. No, that's just all natural. I wish it would stop growing.
Well, I'd say that just about wraps it up. So thanks for listening. Again, let us know if you like our ideas or if you got ideas of your own, and we'll start churning this stuff out.
And if you're listening to this on Monday, have a great week. Hope you learn something new and do something productive and just, become a better version of yourself.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And I hope that I do the same.